online today, and I'm joined today by the beautiful Fabienne Fredrickson. So if you've never heard of Fabienne before, why not? She's one of the biggest things in helping women in business. But I'm going to introduce you all to this beautiful soul today. Now, what she does is she helps people from all sorts of stages of business. So if you're wanting to start out and be an entrepreneur, you can do that with Fabienne. If you are already rocking it in the world, but you want to go even bigger, this is the woman that people seek out to help them really shine with their message. She also does such beautiful work around femininity and incorporating femininity in business, incorporating making more money in business. She's one of the most sought after people to do that. So we are so delighted to have her with me today. She's also on a personal level just such a beautiful, giving, wonderful soul, full of wisdom. I'm delighted to share that with you all right now. So welcome, Fabienne.
Thank you, Shay. What nice words you had to share about me. Thank you.
No worries. And of course, so at Inspired, what we do is we generally ask the question, if you had to share your wisdom with the world in a nutshell, what would you say?
One of the themes of everything that is a Fabiennism in my mantras is that every one of us has a song on our heart, a unique song. And it is a song that we came into this world with and that will remain with us our entire life. And this song, I believe, is a song that should be heard far and wide. And the idea is that in 13.7 billion years, no one has ever been like you, ever. And that there's no one like you now, and no one will ever be like you again. And I believe that in this lifetime, we have this divine opportunity. I almost believe it's a moral obligation to share this song in service to others, and to really embrace all that we are, and believe that this song does need to get out to people who need it, because there are people who need to hear that song that only you can deliver.
Oh. That's so beautiful. What a wonderful metaphor. So the obvious question from that is, how do you discover what that song is? Because this concept will be new to a lot of people.
Yeah. One of the quotes that has been shared and retweeted around the world so many thousands of times. It's one of my quotes. It says, "The things you are passionate about are not random. They are your calling." And for example, in business coaching, I do business coaching and life coaching programs. In the business coaching, I ask people to weave in their calling and their life's purpose in their big business, because when they do, they thrive. And a lot of times they say, "I don't know what my calling is." And I say, yes, you do. It's the thing that you take for granted. It's the thing that everybody recognizes about you. It's the thing that comes so naturally to you, that juices you in the best possible way. It's the thing that you will continue to learn about all your life. It's the thing, if I haven't said it yet, the thing that comes so naturally to you that you just, you're good at it, but you kind of shrug it off. It's the books that you read. It's the thing that you could study all day long. It's the topic that you could talk about all day long for free. And if somebody asked you tomorrow to talk about this all day long for free again, you wouldn't be resentful. You'd say, all right,
Got it.
I'd be happy to.
Yeah. That's beautiful. How did you discover this in yourself? Because you know, that's quite it's a very deep and a very wise perspective. So I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit about your journey to discovering that.
I looked back to different parts, to different moments in my life where I felt in the flow of life. I felt where time was passing. I felt incredible moments of meaning and fulfillment in service to others. And I realized it wasn't like this big thing that, you know, lands on your lap and it's not that. It's more of a puzzle and a piecing together and saying, really interesting, I felt that at this moment and that at this moment and this one and this one and this one. And when you start putting it together, you start seeing, and it's also about the feedback that people gave me and will give you. Those are the things that if you can just be a detective, you can piece it together. It's that little voice within that has been telling you all your life something that's so good about you, but because you take it for granted, you don't give yourself permission to say, this is my calling, this is my purpose.
Yeah, that's lovely. And how do you recognize that little voice? Because you know, there'll be people out there that know exactly what that concept is, and there'll be people out there that's like, what is this little voice you're talking about? So tell us how to identify that within yourself.
That little voice, it's actually a great question, because there I look at it as there are two voices inside. There's a very loud voice that is not very kind. That it's like a tape going on. We all know it. We listen to that tape 24/7, and it's, you know, you're not good enough. Why are you doing this? See, I told you you weren't meant for this. What's wrong with you? And it's just this very loud, incessant, not very kind voice. We'll have it. It's not necessarily. It's mind chatter. It's what I call the drunk monkey in your head, and then the really hard to perceive voice under that is a very benevolent voice. It's kind, it's loving, it's not loud, it's kind of like a whisper. And it says things like, you can do this, go for it, you've got everything it takes. And it gives you little hints and nudges, but it's so hard to hear, and it's so kind, and it doesn't take up a lot of space, that we tend to not listen to it or not be able to hear it underneath the ego voice. And so I believe that the little voice that is benevolent, that tells you the thing that you're passionate about and the thing that is your calling, if asked, I believe that that is intuition. That's God, Goddess, the universe, the all that is, source energy speaking to you. Perhaps not in words, but in feelings, all the different sentient ways. Hard to decipher underneath the loud voice of the ego.
Yeah. But you got to just be conscious with it and go with it, right? So
I think you've got to want to figure out, you've got to want to listen to that voice. And a lot of people find it in meditation and in quiet contemplation, in yoga, in journaling. That's how I've been able to find mine.
Wonderful. And these are all things that now that we're all at home, we can engage in right now as well.
Yes.
There may be some people that are slightly further on in the journey. So I'll give an example from my life. This is an old friend of mine, and we've known each other for a very long time. We went to school together, and every time, you know, since then, fashion. It's always been about fashion and wanting to do fashion. So she knows what she's passionate about, but she doesn't believe that she can, you know, make that same living from fashion that she does from banking. So, you know, for years and years, gone into banking, made me money, you know. So what would you say to someone in that place when they're in something that isn't really driving them, but it's making them a comfortable living. They know what the thing is that they love, but they just don't have the belief that they can do something with that.
That I see this all the time. There are people who won't go in the direction of their dreams because they're focused on the money.
Yeah.
And the thing is, no one can outcreate God.
Yeah.
So if this is about having faith, and this is about walking in the direction of your dreams without thinking about the money, this is about doing, let's say, the fashion on evenings and weekends and pouring all of your heart in it, and finding ways and being open and asking for divine guidance and saying, show me if this is what you want me to step into, show me the way. But one of the things that I teach at a 3-day retreat that I do, large scale retreat called the Mindset Retreat, is that in human nature has it that we humans wait for until we have assurance and the how before we commit. I will commit to my dream when you promise me that I can make a very good living at it. The way that the universe actually works is that it waits for you to commit fully with all of your being, and then providence moves too. And then all resources, the how, the people, the financial assistance begins to show up. Now, that's my favorite quote. This is based on my favorite quote, the Scottish Himalayan expedition by William H. Murray talks about this. Commit boldly, and then providence moves too. Now, some people equate this as meaning quit your job, burn the boats, go in the direction of your dreams. I have found that that is not the best way to do this, because in our complex society, most people don't have enough faith to stay in the quest of their dreams, to stay moving forward. You remove the financial security and people spiral into fear, unless they're independently wealthy and they have lots of time, which most people aren't. So I believe that you don't burn the boats, you don't quit your day job, but you use every single free minute that you have in pursuing the thing that is your calling and your passion. And so this is where, instead of spending some thoughts, some thinking time, have it consume you. Russell Simmons wrote a book called Super Rich. And he says in the book, and I believe in it so much, I've read it a couple of times, and my 14-year-old son is reading it now. It's about doing the work just because you love it. And when you are in this place of a high vibrational vortex about the thing that you want to grow, it multiplies into the universe. It begins to attract momentum, and the right people, financial resources, the opportunities show up. But most people don't do that because they're waiting for the how to show up before they throw themselves in fully. And so that would be my recommendation for your friend.
That's beautiful. And yes, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there in that place as well. The other group of people that you work with are those that are already rocking it on the planet, and they want to go even bigger and share their message with even more people, and just so successful at helping people do that. Is there any golden nuggets you can share of what you would say to someone in that place right now?
There are, in terms of entrepreneurship, happy to talk about that. There gets to be a point at which what got you here won't get you there.
Right.
The bootstrapping, the rugged individualist, the I can do it better, faster, cheaper than hiring somebody. There gets to be a point at which you must let go of what I call the white knuckling control enthusiast,
Yeah.
and you actually have to become a different type of person to let go of the reins, to step in then into your next level, which is the person who is the visionary of your company,
Mm.
not the doer. You must relinquish the doing over time. I teach this over a 3 to 5 year period. How to go from being overwhelmed and trapped at brand new 6 figures in your business. How do you get to 7 figures with your life back? You step into, over time, with some resources that I share, into the role of the visionary. And the best use of your time is thinking time as opposed to doing time, because in thinking you can be strategic. In thinking, you can then delegate to the people that you've hired, that you trust. You can set about building some systems so you are no longer needed in the day-to-day operations of the business. And this puts you in a place where you can exponentially grow your business. This is what happened to me when I was at 6 figures, and then at multiple 6 figures. The more I stayed in the doing of my business, the more I became the bottleneck and couldn't grow it to 7 figures, and then multiple 7 figures now. So exponential growth requires that you get out of the doing over time and get more into the visioning and strategy, and let other people, at least this is what we teach at Boldheart, let other people do all of the mechanics for you. Your greatest biggest money generating activity at this level is to think and then delegate.
It's wonderful. Thank you. Now, you've mentioned the mindset retreat, which is one of the things that you do quite regularly, actually. So I'd highly recommend our viewers to go along to that and learn some amazing practices that you can integrate into your life. But I do want to spend a few moments talking to something that I know is close to your heart, which is Boldheart Woman, which is another program that you've released recently. And this is really to help women, obviously, get into their femininity and integrate that. Is there anything you would say to the women out there right now that can help start them on that journey?
Well, what I will say is that I find that there are either women who are completely burned out and walking around like zombies and completely unfulfilled, because they are depleted by not recognizing their feminine side, and they're trying to act masculine. Or there are women who are completely depleted and unfulfilled. They're not getting any of their needs met. So they're masculine women because that's how they get rewarded in this society, or they're depleted because they people please too much. The two types of archetypes when we talk about the Boldheart Woman program and Boldheart Life as well. And when we recognize that we can be powerful and feminine. I recognize that I am powerful and emotive. I bring the feminine into everything I do, including business. Weave in the masculine and the feminine there. When you can do that, when you can embrace your magnificence, which is the name of my book, when you can embrace your magnificence and take up more space in your family, in your bedroom, in your life, in your community, in your country, in your world, you get a greater sense of meaning and fulfillment. This is no longer about being who you're not at the core, and really exploring all that it means for you to be a woman. And there are many female archetypes. There are different ways of being a woman, and really owning and studying and learning again how to be feminine. And you can apply it in business. This is, Boldheart Business is about bringing the feminine, powerfully feminine quality in everything you do, from marketing to closing the sale to really creating programs. You can bring it to your family and to your sensual relationships, and you can bring it to just who you show up in life. I'll say this. I'm about to go to my own next big level of thought leadership in the world, and it's to show women how worthy they really are, despite all of the messages that they've picked up in their lifetime, consciously and subconsciously, and have them really embrace their magnificence and take up more space in the world. And I know that when we all achieve this, we will right everything that is wrong right now in terms of an overly, I'm not going to say feminine and masculine, an overly yang, in the yin and yang um, tug of war. There's too much masculine and not enough feminine. It's not about replacing one for the other. It's about creating a balance of both. Because if you think about it, everything that works in nature is a combination of feminine and masculine. And when there's an imbalance, as we're seeing now, and have been for quite some time, it's unsustainable.
Wow, time has just flown with you, Fabienne. Thank you for sharing your wisdom with us today. I was wondering if you have any final thoughts that you'd like to leave with our viewers this afternoon.
The final thought would be, look, and we're taught to look at all the things that where we are inadequate or not good enough. And I would invite everybody listening to this to really fall in love with yourself. And I there was a time that I couldn't even think of saying the words that I like myself, let alone I love myself. And I will say this: freedom from being trapped in an unhappy relationship with yourself starts with self-acceptance, just accepting who you are, warts and all. And there, when that exists, that self-acceptance, warts and all, you can be really free, and really you begin to attract all of life.
Wonderful. How can our viewers connect with you if they'd like to? How can they find out more?
Well, you can find me on social media at Fabienne or Fabienne Fred, boldheart.com. And I was thinking earlier, as I was describing the passion, I have a TED Talk online. Just go to YouTube, Fabienne Fredrickson TED Talk, and you will see I forget if it's 8 or 10-step process to figure out your calling. I think that would be a great place for people to go.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for your time today. And it's been beautiful to have you on. Stay safe, stay happy, and hopefully we'll see you soon.
Thank you. Thanks.
So we'll finish that. And I'll stop recording here.